Burlesque is quickly becoming more and more popular. Once a popular performance from the late 19th century, now it's back, and some say more tantalising than ever. Encompassing everything from the salacious to the suggestive, from vintage to parody.
I like the rude humour, the, double entendre, the innuendo, the ooh, I say, oh.
Women from all over are embracing and indulging in the feel-good pleasures that come from this voluptuous posing and the performance of femininity. Some say it's a great way for women to express their sexuality.
For me, it's all about the empowerment of women.
But others aren't too convinced.
People think it's demeaning because they think it's exploitation, and it really isn't.
I've paid for a lap dance and I've also been to a burlesque night, and I could see clear parallels between the two.
An evening where you can leave your inhibitions at the door and succumb to the playful artists of seduction on the dazzling stage. Welcome to Burlesque. In Cleckheaton, the girls are waiting in the dressing room with just a few minutes until they get on stage.
Yeah. What was it? What had happened?
We had to get changed to the toilet, and she dropped her fans in a puddle of fresh piss.
Oh, no. Was it her piss?
No.
Oh, that makes it worse.
Yeah.
You'd always feel more comfortable if it was your own piss, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
The crowds are already arriving as the girls continue to get ready. Also in the crowd tonight is burlesque extraordinaire Bella Besame. With 13 years in the industry, Bella has a front row seat to her own show tonight.
People expect it generally to be very glamorous and have sort of fans and lots of sparkle and glitter and things like that, which I think is what it really excites people. It's that smoke and mirrors and, seeing all of the glamour and the beautiful costumes and stuff.
I'm doing two of my routines. I do one that I call my suit strip routine, where I dress kind of in a tailored suit, and then I sort of strip off into the traditional underwear, the corsets and stockings and suspenders.
Dating back to the 19th century variety shows, burlesque mocked popular entertainment, combining witty repartee, dancing, singing, parody, and to some degree, revealing clothing. It was only during the Great Depression where club owners became desperate to make a profit and turned the scantily clad women into profit. A revival in burlesque, taking off in the 90s, has brought it out of the underground and to the attention of the general public, leaving some audiences dubious about how beneficial burlesque is for women. Over in London, Michelle is hosting this month's Feminist Book Club. Michelle published an article expressing her views on burlesque in 2012, and whilst a number of feminists celebrate the expression of sexuality, Michelle thinks otherwise.
I think burlesque just seems to be just really, really popular amongst white middle class women, and I was quite critical of that because I've been to see strippers, I've paid for a lap dance, and I've also been to a burlesque night, and I could see clear parallels between the two, and I didn't like the way that one is seen as sleazy, demeaning to women. Women shouldn't do that, and it's quite policed, and then one was seen as empowering, representative of all women, and I thought, well, you can't say this represents all women. I don't disagree with burlesque. I think women are free to express their sexuality in any way that they want to, but we can't be unaware of it is part of a performance spectrum, and that does also include stripping.
Over the 13 years, I've had people who have definitely been more along the demeaning side of things, and people have tried to kind of get the shows stopped and, gone to the press and said that what I'm doing is exploitation and, these kind of things.
For me, it's all about the empowerment of women. I like that it embraces women's curves. It's not necessarily all about that you have to be this perfect size zero that's portrayed in the media all the time.
I've spoken to lots of different types of people about it, and I think it definitely is a case of people think it's demeaning because they think it's exploitation, and it really isn't. So it's not like other industries. And I have worked myself many years ago as a stripper, But burlesque is a totally different kettle of fish. It's chalk and cheese, you can't compare it.
After a successful show, it's time for the ladies to get some well-earned beauty sleep. The next day, Sherry is hosting her own revue in Manchester's Northern Quarter. It's an area known for the alternative and underground, opening the doors to a more open-minded audience. It's the perfect opportunity to push the boundaries.
This is my really natural, daily, unglamorous life that I lead. Oh, it's covered in mud. I think burlesque is empowering if you're doing it for the right reasons, I suppose.
For nearly 10 years now, Zelda has performed burlesque. As well as currently studying for her creative language degree, Zelda has formed her own approach to performing, combining burlesque and rock music.
We do our own take on tracks from musicals like Cabaret or Chicago and stuff. And then we mix that with rock music, some really heavy alternative music as well. But we still do it like tongue-in-cheek dancing, and it's highly choreographed. And it's still got that sexy element, you know, but it's not all about the striptease. It's more a theatrical show that includes cabaret and burlesque elements within it. People get whatever they get out of it, but it's not like a sleazy scenario of, you know, random happenings. But at the same time, you do get people enjoy it. Of course you get people enjoy it. When we did Pride one year in Manchester, we did the lesbian stage, and there was women being very graphically suggestive and weird on the front row. But, you know, they were having a good time. They didn't come up to us afterwards. They didn't insult us. They were just enjoying themselves. And people that don't really know what burlesque is presume it is stripping, because you can't deny the technicality of it can be classed as stripping, because you're technically stripping layers off in some of your acts. So there is that argument that makes sense, but at the same time the worlds are a million miles apart, and I think people don't know because, one, they've not seen it, or two, they've not seen anything done well or proper, and they don't understand the history of it and where it's come from. I like the rude humour, the, you know, double entendre, the innuendo, the "ooh, I say, oh." That's what I like about it, more so than the glamour side of it.
Glorian, similar to other women who perform burlesque, doesn't depend on it for full-time work. It's something the ladies do alongside everything else as working women. Glorian is studying for a PhD that looks at women in relation to burlesque as well as working part-time.
I guess I would be a liberal feminist. I do believe in the woman's right to choose is probably the most important thing, but I do understand the point of view that say that our actions don't happen in a vacuum. So whilst one person might choose to be a stripper and that works for them in the context of a patriarchal society, it might be not helping, basically. So I try to keep myself educated on different ways of thinking, because you can get very much in your own way of thinking, and I think it's very problematic with certain types of feminist thinking that they can't see the other point of view, because feminism becomes, it's not just what you believe, it becomes your identity, and sometimes it becomes your crusade, and once something's your identity and your crusade and your belief system, it's very hard to change that, because that means changing everything about who you are.
Glorian's style of performance uses a lot more comedy than most mainstream performers, parodying elements of sexuality instead of relying purely on sex appeal.
I want to be told that my act was clever, it was funny, they really enjoyed it, I executed it particularly well. I'm not really interested in being thought, you know, I don't want the main point of my act to be that I'm hot. It's a theatrical performance, very creative, it can have It can have circus, magic, comedy, dance, song. You're there to laugh and to, to see some funny things or some visually impressive things. It's like going to a variety show. It's like the Royal Variety Show, but rude.
I think burlesque is about a certain type of feminine sexuality, and I think that's the part of the allure for women, because it uses all these cultural signifiers that women have been told are sexy. So suspenders, corsets, like pinned up like 1950s hair, vampish makeup. These are all signifiers to women that this isn't demeaning, this is quite civilized, but I think that those signifiers are really misleading.
I wouldn't like someone to feel like they were just getting turned on by it, because everything we do is tongue-in-cheek, and it's saucy, it's not slutty, and it's not sexual, it's not, the idea of striptease is because it's about the tease. If you're taking your jacket off a certain way, yeah, it's quite like a little turn on and it's exciting, but you might have a dress underneath. That's different than taking your clothes off for sexual entertainment.
Burlesque to me is about expression. It's about an individual expressing themselves or elements of themselves on stage or in the bedroom or wherever they choose to do their own little performance of burlesque, and having fun with it, enjoying it, and not taking themselves too seriously.